Hi, I'm Sarah. We have already set our intentions and our prayers for this session, so enjoy and learn. Next question.
Wow. This is a learning experience for you then, isn't
Well,
it?
yes.
How to deal with a grumpy old man.
Oh, not to lower myself to the grumpy old man's level.
There you go. There you go. You don't want to do that because then you know better than a grumpy old man.
Exactly.
And then I'd quit listening to you.
I don't know.
Well, I'd still listen to myself, so
Yeah.
probably listen to you, but I don't know. Since we all have our
Themes.
theme to follow, is that theme in a way assigned by Source because that's what they want to experience, or is it totally up to us?
Source desires experiences, period, of all kinds. It is up to the individual soul to decide, in this incarnation, what theme do I want to follow? But free will is still part of it.
Correct.
So the general theme is there, but it's not predestined. Source does not want predestination. That's no fun.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. I just wanted to know, though, because it was something that came up during whatever. Why do only sentient beings need to meditate? Does free will move us away from our agreement?
It can. Often it does. But don't blame it on free will. Meditation quiets the mind, ideally. That's why it takes so much practice to figure it out. To quiet the mind, to quiet the ego, and allow the soul to feel those higher energies, those higher frequencies, the love, the acceptance, the peace. And the more you meditate, the more you experience those things. So the more you can raise your frequencies to meet those things more frequently. So it can, it's a snowball effect, but it's a good thing. Did I make myself clear?
I believe so. I'm processing your answer against the question to see if whether or not it fully satisfies the curiosity I had, and at this time it does.
Okay.
Are there any sentient planets in this universe, or any universe?
By sentient, do you mean it carries on goofy conversations?
If it can.
All planets are living things.
But another time you said they're not sentient.
But they're not sentient in the way I think you mean.
Yet.
They are aware to a degree. Much like trees are aware, like animals are aware. Animals are actually closer to spirit. In a way, they are, well, I can't say they're higher. Their spirituality is greater, perhaps, than human beings, because animals don't get cluttered up with all the junk that human
Yeah.
beings do. Same with plants and trees and rocks and water and everything on Gaia and Gaia herself. More spiritual because there's no doubt, no anger or resentment or impatience or any of those things. And that's another thing that meditation can help, is for a human being to learn to let go of those negative emotions and revel in the higher emotions of love and kindness and patience and understanding and all those good things.
Okay.
He just twitched.
Since we create our own reality, does that mean that we will move to the new earth only when we have learned enough that we can change to the new earth?
That's one way of putting it.
So this transformation to the new earth is something that we, each one of us, will do whenever we have raised our frequencies enough? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Pretty much. It's not, it's an individual thing. Because everything is now, so that new earth already exists, right? He makes funny noises.
Yes, he does, especially when he snores.
So as you learn and grow spiritually and become more enlightened, and your frequency rises, you become lighter, and it's easier then to make the transition. Although it doesn't happen like that, it's gradual, but still it feels like it's immediate. But then again, when it is immediate, or when it happens, you're not really aware anymore of the negative old earth. Not that Gaia is old, but she is. But not that she's negative, but those people who are not enlightened, you will lose sight of them because you're living in peace and love. And they don't want peace and love. So why would you continue thinking and existing with them?
Exactly.
So.
Okay. Why do our egos focus on the negative?
Good question. They don't think of themselves as focusing on negativity. They just believe that their job is to protect the body and all this other stuff. The ego doesn't fully comprehend what's going on, and the ego thinks it has to protect, has to do its job, has to keep the body from wandering away or whatever. It's that's a rough way of describing it. But the ego is there for protection. It just doesn't comprehend that it doesn't need to be quite so literal, quite so fearful, because that's not its job.
So in other words, but through meditating, we can talk to our ego. Well, we don't have to meditate to talk to our ego,
Right.
but we can have communications with our ego to help it learn, so it can relax its grip, so to speak. Is that a?
Well, that's a good reason to meditate. Yep.
Thank you. When a being makes the decision to create harm to another, what does Source feel?
It feels the emotions.
Of all participants?
Yeah. I mean, it feels emotions and thoughts and experiences and the emotions from those thoughts and the emotions from the experiences. It feels all that. And it knows that's not what it wants. And that's why it desires experience, to know itself through experience. And it knows itself by saying, well, that's not what I want. That's not me. This is what I want, is helpfulness and enlightenment and happiness and joy and peace and love and all those things.
So what happens to Source, or what does it sense? What's going on? I can't find the right words to.
Source does not absorb the negative emotions. It recognizes this is what's happening. And is willing to step in and help if someone asks. You know, oh God, help me, kind of a thing. Source can do that without, it can do it in a subtle way, without disrupting the person or the person's belief systems or any of that stuff. But Source does not get caught up in the emotions like physical beings do. It recognizes them. It is aware. But like I said, not caught up in it like someone watching a movie and crying because of what's going on in the movie. The person watching is getting caught up in the emotion of the characters. The Source doesn't get that caught up. Whatever the emotions are, Source recognizes them. It says, basically, yeah, that makes sense. Do I interfere? No. We'll let this go. That is not me. All right. If the person experiences all this negativity, the harm, the desire to harm, Source will not interfere unless called upon. And even then, it's usually a more subtle interference. But it can be more obvious. I don't know what else I can say about that.
Okay. That question came about because of the current conflicts going on in Eastern Europe.
Right.
And Asia.
Yep. Source is not going to, well, it isn't just source, it is other beings.
Yes.
Particularly those who want to help humanity get past that sort of mentality.
Yeah, that's a tough one to do.
Mm-hmm. And it can't be, they can't make a giant fly swatter and just smack all these people down.
Nope, because that's doing the same thing to them.
Right. They have to learn. And that's why it's important for those who are growing spiritually, who are becoming more and more enlightened, because you can always become more enlightened.
And less, too.
Yeah, you can backslide. But even those who are just beginning to experience enlightenment, to desire it, to want to learn, to go after it, all of that, if everyone would send out their love and forgiveness and compassion, those committing atrocities, those causing wars, those causing harm in any way, shape, or form to others, it affects them minutely at first, but it starts to open them up. To becoming enlightened themselves. Granted, in many cases, it's a very slow process according to your linear existence. But the slightest little spark of light in that darkness will draw that person to it, and the light will grow bigger. Hence the term enlightenment. So, it's not fast enough for you mortal beings, but it's happening. And Source is feeling more and more joy because Source is aware of that.
So then Source can also feel sadness when it doesn't happen, when there is war and stuff.
To a degree, it's a certain amount of sadness.
Yeah, because generally it says, I don't want anything to do with it.
Personally, Source does not have anything to do with it unless there's requests.
Okay.
But remember that Source isn't just for Earth.
Right. It's for everything and everyone.
So Source revels in the experiences and experiences joy at the slightest spark of light in any being. Put it that way. Source prefers joy to anything else. So recognizing that there's something negative going on means that Source can find the joy in the tiniest bit of joy in any situation.
Yeah, right.
Does that explain it?
The silver lining in the cloud.
Okay.
That was cute.
If you must.
I think I'll start saying that myself.
You do that all the time anyway.
Yeah, when Sarah asked me a question. Hey, that's what Explorer told me to do.